Hey fam, so new look. This was handmade. One of the most elegant pieces of clothing that I own. So, to put that out there. I really like it. I really enjoy it. It's a little bit long. I'm pretty tall, but I don't think it's nothing a tailor can't fix. But I really like the drapery. Um, so I'm very thankful that I have this. It's quite beautiful and unique. So I thought I'd share with you how I kind of felt it was the sign to get ready to like formally pronounce the Shahada. Okay. So to back up a bit, the day before, when I was praying, I think it was either the Asr or Maghrib prayer. I was in the sitting position, when you put your feet to the side, and a kind of tingly, buoyant energy of peace kind of came over me, and it was interesting because I didn't expect that, and it was you could feel it. And I was like, whoa, this is interesting. And it was definitely a sense of peace. That night, I went to bed, and I had a different dream. This dream was very important to me because it was groundbreaking for a new point in my life. So, a little personal, but it is the truth, so I might as well say it. I'm not going to be embarrassed. I used to have a reoccurring dream of a former person who I loved, and it was always nighttime when I would go to see that person, and I'd always want to hug them and be with them, but it wouldn't happen. This person was not a very good person, yet the attachment to them was still there. The longingness, the desire to hold and cuddle and getting that euphoria back would always be there, and it would always be nighttime, which was the weird part, and would usually be in the same place. But except this time in the dream, it was still nighttime, but I was walking, and there was a house here to my right, and there was a lot of people inside the house, and there was a woman on the lawn. If you ever seen the way the homes look in Oakland, it looked like one of the homes in Oakland, like in East Oakland. They got the palm trees, but in the lower hood areas, think of that type of architecture. She was doing something. To my peripheral, I was walking this way. I saw him, and he had a woman with him, and some children who I didn't see their faces. But this time, when he turned his head, and he looked at me, his face was disfigured. His eyes were not the same eyes. It was distorted in a way where he wasn't attractive anymore. Not in a sense that he was an ogre or something like that, but it was different this time. It's almost like a blur, like a different, because, and it made me kind of go back a bit, which in the dreams that's never happened with that figure. And I turned to the woman, and she was on her knees doing something, right? And she looked up at me. She kind of had chubby cheeks, was Latina, had those painted eyebrows, and she said, kind of smiling in a, I don't want to say smug, rude way, but very just like kind of way. And she said, he cheated on you, right? And I said in the dream, yeah, I know. And in that moment, it was like, pop. Because previously in like the real world, I had a huge attachment to him, that even though I knew he was a cheater, I would still lie to myself and tell myself, oh, he didn't. I know he did, but I couldn't tell myself that. I just wouldn't admit it, And when he would tell me that he didn't, it was like we were keeping up the lie, but I knew it was true. But in the dream, when I said that to her, and if something felt so different in the dream, where I was like, yeah, I know. And then I didn't go inside the house where everybody was. And that was a moment where I was like, wow. And I woke up, and it just, this sort of attachment that I've had, because I left him in 2007. I mean, it was like many years, of reoccurring dreams about him. The desire to maybe one day we could get back together. And the weird part is I couldn't just seem to break my longingness for him. Even though I knew he was bad, there would still be a lingering hope. But when I woke up this time, because of that dream, it was different. It was just different the way it happened. And his mom was a witch. She worshipped the saint of death, and she was not a good woman. I didn't know she was a witch until much later, until I was already invested in the relationship, and I had to live in the same house with her, and she did not like me. she really made my life difficult. And I really just, I couldn't afford to move out of the house. And I loved her son. And this time it's like maybe she did something, you never know. But it was different this time, where the attachment is finally broken after just years and years and years. And even, see, the bond there was so tight that even when I was in other relationships, I would still think about him, and it would still come in my dreams. And there would be this searching for him in the dreams. And I kind of like, gosh, where can I get this person out of my head? I don't want to be with them anymore. But when you have dreams, it's like you're not fully in control. So I woke up that morning, and I felt really different. I just kind of just felt like, I looked out the window, and there was some peaceful deer there, and they just, like, they didn't, usually when the deer look at you, they run away, but they kind of just stand there. There was a lot more birds. Things just felt more peaceful that morning. When I went to drop the little ones off at school, I had a huge compulsion inside. Like, go to the river, like by the ocean, and say the Shahada. And I was like, okay, I gotta go. And then as I was walking there was like, oh, I remember I read a hadith that said in Bukhari, if you do wudu and then you walk to the mosque with the intention of going to the mosque, it's really good. And I said, maybe I should go home, do wudu, and then go. But then I got nervous and I said, yeah, but what happens if I go there and then the compulsion goes away and the desire goes away, or I rationalize myself out of it? So I said, you know what, let's just go. And I just started walking with determination. I walked pretty far too. Walked and walked and walked, and I said, where's the perfect spot? And I walked and I walked. I found a good spot. I climbed down, I was like, when I climbed down, I went right there. And then I did it as the video you saw, and, cried after, and walked home with a different determination. It just felt something, just a different type of will inside, a different type of stillness in my chest. It was very interesting to go through, because the whole process, it had to happen the way it happened. Like, all the drama that was happening, right? It, like, everything kind of felt like it was leading up to that. Like, everything in my life, there was a lot of fighting, drama with the online world, people attacking me, making my life difficult. And the final confession style, I know that confession is a Catholic thing, but because I grew up around Christians and Catholics, I had to kind of say the final purge of, like, the mistakes that I've made, to kind of help others see that you need to do better in life. I made a lot of people angry with those kinds of posts, but I had to say it. I had to kind of get it out there, otherwise it would just keep staying inside. Maybe that's something growing up in a Christian area. I know in Islam they don't really have confessions, and your deeds are your own, and you don't have to tell people, but people got mad at me saying it was vulgar, but it's like, I have to say it, because if I don't, it's gonna stay inside, and it doesn't let you forget. It just kind of keeps swirling around and making you feel like you can never be good. So by saying it, letting the public shame come upon you, and then moving past it helped. And then, dealing with criticism from it, and also dealing with the positivity from it, it had to happen, everything that has been going on for the month, it really just felt like it was all leading up to that. But as I went there, I had to walk to go say my Shahada. It was like a very fierce determination, just inside, like, I gotta do it. And I walked like I never walked before. Nothing was gonna get in my way, I had to get there. I had to go to that spot, and everything just had to happen, and it was beautiful. And that was part of why I knew it was time. Which is interesting, because I don't trust a lot of dreams, right? Because the food we eat, the polluted air, a lot of people mess with dreams, and they can be contrived, and I worry about it, I worry about dreams, because I deal with a lot of nightmares and stuff, PTSD, things like that. So I'm not a person who usually enjoys dreams, but this dream, it was different, especially with the context of, like, who his mother was, how awful she was, and how it was very difficult to crack the hold I had, with her son, even though he was so bad. It was different, and even now it feels like, Allah really gave me that you're gonna be free now. You're going in a new direction. You have to let off that past, right? You have to let it go, and I'm gonna help you let it go, give you a sign. I mean, that's how I look at it. I don't know if you're allowed to say that, but that is really how I feel with it. So that's one of the signs, where it had to happen. And I was trying to say it even louder, like, ugh. But then as I was saying it, I felt kind of weak, like I was gonna cry, which is interesting. Because up to the moment, I was like, I'm gonna even yell it really loud. But I was so humble that it was like my energy kind of went away. And I was really thankful for that. I am very thankful for that. And now it's like the peace is inside, and it's really nice. I don't know how to explain it. And it was really cool reading a lot of your comments that, like, you've forgiven for everything. You're like brand new born baby. And then, you're more pure, stuff like that. And I thought to myself, don't mess up. Try to do your best. Keep going forward. Praise Allah under every condition, no matter how hard the suffering is. But all the suffering also is what flipped it, right? Everything had to happen the way it happened. All the suffering, all the drama, all the things that are happening happened that way. People misunderstanding my intentions, making up lies, slandering me, all kinds of things. It just had to happen. It really does feel like God bends you to his will. And now like me, I feel like, I understand more of that submission, to God. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like in your chest. And like people, I don't know, it's like people could say something to irk you in person, and it's just like, you could say something, but the impulse of venom is not exactly there anymore. It's like more of a solid steel piece center. I don't really know how to put that in any type of Arabic words, or I can only describe the way in which I feel with the vocabulary that I have. But that is part of when I knew it was time. And ain't no going back. I couldn't imagine myself ever leaving Islam after that. I don't think it's possible, and I hope it never happens. God protect me from it. But I know that may sound like a weak dream, but as someone who has like horrific nightmares and is plagued by just terrible dreams constantly, a dream that significant to me was a blessing. It's a mercy. And the eyes of him, what's interesting is that they're just like black beady eyes. They were different kind of eyes, and one was kind of like higher than the other. It was something different about that. It was something different about the eyes, where it was like, the handsomeness was completely taken away. And the way in which the woman said it, and the way in which I responded to her, is the remarkable part. Because I said, yeah, I know, with like a more confidence, like there was no more denial. And some people might say, well, that's not as significant, but the fact that his mother was an evil woman is another reason why I knew that was a sign. It was a mercy, And then I kind of realized that other people had this same experience. Like they have some type of dream, and then you're just like, wow. It's really, how do people all have that same experience? I mean, and that is a sign, right? I mean, who knew? But that's my story, fam.